Hi, everyone, and welcome to Webinar Wednesday. We're going to give it just a minute to get started on our side. We're just getting into one of the meeting rooms, so please bear with us, and we will start shortly. This is where we should be playing the elevator music. Maybe Teams should have that as a functionality. We need to speak to Microsoft. Give a chance for all of the AI meeting note takers to join. So just for everyone that's just joined, we're waiting for our speaker to get into the meeting room that he's booked at a client. So it's just a bit of a delicate situation. So please bear with us and we will start shortly. He's getting set up.
Hitting 1, 2.
We hear you.
So I will reveal myself and do a screen share.
And we will be crossing over to our Cape Town studios.
Righty, here we go.
Fantastic. Okay, we're ready to go. Thank you everyone for your patience. Welcome to Webinar Wednesday. I'm Sageshni, Head of Marketing here at Mint Group, and it's really great to have you with us. I know it's a short week. We've come back from the Easter break, and for many of us, the return to real life has felt a little unnecessary. So we really appreciate you spending part of your day with us today. So before we get started, just a little bit of housekeeping. Today's session is being recorded, so if you need to jump off halfway through or if you hear something useful and want to send it to a colleague later, we've got you covered. Excuse me. And if you have any questions during the session, please pop them into the chat or the Q&A as we go along, and we'll pick those up at the end. Now, we all know AI is having a serious moment. Every second conversation is about co-pilot, automation, smarter insights, or how no one wants to be left behind. But underneath all of that excitement is one slightly awkward truth. AI is only as good as the data behind it. So if your data is incomplete, inconsistent, or spread across the digital equivalent of a junk drawer, and in my case, that's drawer 3 in the kitchen, then even the smartest AI is going to have a hard time. It is a bit like hiring a Formula One driver and then handing them a checkers trolley with the wonky wheels. And that's why today's conversation matters. Because the session is about what it really takes to build an AI-ready data platform. Yuvira, I think you've got a bit of background noise on your side.
Oh, I apologize about that. It's a little echoey.
There, that's
I think
much
I'll
better.
try and get the noise suppression going.
Fantastic. Okay, so as I was saying, the session is about what it really takes to build an AI-ready data platform, and the kind that helps organizations move beyond dashboards that look impressive in the meetings that we join and actually turn data into better decisions and measurable business value. So we'll be looking at where data efforts tend to lose momentum, what needs to be in place before AI can really scale, and why getting the foundations right make all of the difference. And joining us today to unpack all of this is Yuvir Maharaj, data engineer here at Mint Group. So Yuvir works in the thick of this every day. As you've heard, he had to get into a meeting room to get started to join us at a customer. He helps organizations get their data into shape so it can actually do something useful, support better decision making, enable stronger analytics, and create the kind of foundation AI needs to deliver real results. So, Yuvir, thank you so much for being with us here today. And with that, I'm going to hand over to you.
Thanks so much, Sue. Appreciate the introduction and the welcome. Yeah, firstly, just sincerest apologies for having to join in late. A little bit of logistics, but we made it in the end. All right, so let's kick off. I think the way that the session's going to pan out is there's a little bit of presentation, there's a little bit of demo as well, and we'll be switching between the two over the course of the next hour or so. Right, so we've come up with a little bit of a use case centered around mining. I'm gonna move forward. There we go. We've identified a use case with a mining organization. And the character that we'll be working with over the course of the presentation is Sarah Chen. So Sarah is a CEO of a company called Mining Masters, and Sarah's approached us with a question and a few problems that she'd like to solve. So let's have a look. On. So Sarah's question to us, being in mining, is if copper drops 15% and her capex overruns 20%, how much of her NPV, that's net present value, is at risk? So this is the question that Sarah posed to us. It's quite a loaded question, and we need to be able to provide her an answer, some feedback. Before we jump into full solution mode, and all the tech people on the call would probably think, how are we going to solve this immediately? We've got to take a couple of steps back. And what we'd like to do first is assess, what does Sarah currently have to work with? What's her current state? So if we have a look at what she has at her disposal today, currently she's got 40 Excel spreadsheets, 6 analysts that maintain these spreadsheets, all to answer this question. To answer the single question will take about 2 to 3 days, just for that one scenario. If we ask a different question, maybe switch some of the percentages and weightings, it'll take another 2 to 3 days to extract all of that information and come up with a solid answer. There's also no single view of her risk portfolio. The risk register, things like financial models and strategic documents, all sit in different systems. So very difficult to get an answer to her. And then lastly, we've identified that she doesn't have any objective project prioritization. So usually where projects are prioritized, this happens on a quarterly basis in a board meeting, and usually one of the executives who has a good reason for executing against a particular project will prioritize the one of their choosing. So now we've had a look at a serious question. We've had a look at what she currently has to work with. We now need to come up with, how do we assist? And as Sue mentioned, we are in the age of AI. So what we're going to be proposing is AI-powered answers. But we're not just going to sugarcoat that and say AI is the answer to everything. We're going to back this by a single source of truth. So we're going to combine all of Sarah's data inputs into a single space. And lastly, because we're working with a mining use case that is looking at fluctuations in the market, we're going to stress test quite a few factors in order to give Sarah some evidence-based answers. Okay, so we're going to do this via what we like to refer to as a data to decision journey, consisting of a data platform, some advanced analytics, and then of course an AI layer on top of that. So just going left to right on the current screen, Sarah's got some Excels, which will transform into CSV files. We're then going to move them through what's known as the medallion architecture that we'll talk about later. For those who are not familiar with it, these layers consist of bronze, silver, and gold layers, and we'll unpack them. We're then going to move into the advanced analytics. We're running 3 different advanced models today, one being Monte Carlo. We're doing some project rankings, and we're going to have a look at a what-if analysis as well. Lastly, all of the outputs from our data modeling in the gold star schema and the outputs of output result sets of our advanced analytics are going to be put into a semantic model. And the semantic model serves as the base knowledge source for our data agents, which are the last 2 pillars on the far right. Okay, just having a look quickly at the technology stack that we'll be using throughout the demo. For the data platform, we're leveraging Microsoft Fabric. We're processing through medallion architecture. We've got the 3 advanced analytics models that we're using. We have a semantic layer. For presentations, we've put together Power BI dashboards to show the result sets of our advanced analytics. And then our AI layer are presented through Fabric Data Agents and Azure AI Foundry. The entire platform has been built using Vue.js web interface, and that'll be the front end that will be accessing the result sets of our advanced analytics models and our AI agents as well. Cool. Before we go any further, just to show what the stack kind of looks like practically, I'm going to switch here into Microsoft Fabric. And I am using a bit of a bigger screen, so my head might just turn every now and then to have a look. We're using Microsoft Fabric as our data platform that we identified. What we have on screen at the moment is a task flow that shows the data to decision journey. So starting at the far left, we've got low volume data. This is our ingestion step where our CSV files live. We've opted to use Python notebooks. I'm not going to open the notebooks and go through the code, but just know that all of our processing is done using Python within Fabric. We can then see our medallion layers, so our bronze, silver, and gold layers. And these are the layers of our medallion architecture. We then have some data visualizations. So these are the Power BI dashboards. Screen has just jumped away from me. Yep. And then we have ML serving, which is the machine learning outputs of our 3 advanced analytics models. So as I mentioned, we'll be using the Monte Carlo, project prioritization, and some what-if scenarios. So this gives quite a nice overview of how we're going to be working with the data today. Okay, jumping back into the presentation. Okay, we start off with the medallion architecture. So just a little bit more information on this. The medallion architecture is separated into 3 layers, bronze, silver, and gold. Within our bronze layer, we ingest data into our Fabric platform, which is going to be used to run the analytics. The data ingested into bronze should be raw. It should be pretty much a mirror of your source information, and there shouldn't be any transformations applied onto that data that makes its way in. We then moved the data into the next layer, which is silver. This is a cleanse layer. There are some transformations that take place here. It can range from very simple to extremely complex. But in this layer, we essentially are typecasting, deduplicating, and validating the data. And then finally, we have the gold layer. This is a business-ready layer. It contains aggregated data, which is modeled into a star schema. That is the medallion architecture, the first step of our data to decision journey to get serious some answers. So speaking of star schemas, a star schema is a best practice modeling schema. It has three core advantages. The first being performance. We then have reusability and governance. So if we've not heard of a star schema before, it's focused on a central, what's known as a fact table. This contains numerical information that you'd like to slice and dice your data by. And this is supported by what are called dimensions that sit around the star, which contain more descriptive information. So if you'd like to see, for example, a particular metric sliced by department, the metric would be in your fact table and your department would be in your dimension. Right. Just touching on those 3 points, the performance aspect of a star schema, um, because we only have a single join between tables, the center of the table and a dimension. There are fewer joins, so it's far more performant. It's reusable, so the schema can be used across the business. It can be used by dashboards in Power BI reports. If you connect the schema to Microsoft Excel, it can also serve as a knowledge source to agents. And then lastly, we've got the governance. So your star schema is your single source of truth. It holds all of the calculations for your models within a single schema, and the business never has to worry about, is this the correct version? Are we using the latest data or information? If it's part of your star schema, it's good to go. Right. Once we have our data into gold and put into a nice star schema, we're now going to start looking at our advanced analytics models. Just go across to the next one. So the first example that we're looking at is what if stress testing. So we did promise Sarah that we would be stress testing her inputs. What the what if scenario allows for is, you'll see down on the y-axis, we have P, which is the price, and then C representing the capex. So we're literally asking the question, what if capex is less, the price is less 30% and capex is plus 30%? What if effect does that have on the net present value? And we can see as we move down on the y-axis, going through each of those scenarios, the variance on the net present value. Right. The next one that we looked at is the Monte Carlo simulation. So a Monte Carlo simulation gives you the ability to run high amounts of trials. So for each project that Sarah has in her portfolio, we've run 10,000 trials per each project with varying inputs. And the inputs I have listed there at the bottom, which are the commodity price, capex, opex, and production, in varying degrees of input. We then get scores out, which are referred to as P-scores. So P10 is what is the worst that could possibly have happened. P50 is what's most likely to have happened, or what's most likely going to happen. And P90 is the best possible scenario that we could get on the net present value. So you'll see all those P90 bars are quite high because that's the best possible, but may not be the most likely. Right, and then lastly, we've got project ranking. So depending on which way the business is wanting to move, we've got different weights in different categories. If we're looking for a balanced portfolio, you can see the weighting percentages in the three categories are fairly close to one another. If we're looking at something that's more high risk, you'll see the risk adjusted one has a higher rating on risk. And if we're looking at something like strategic growth, the strategy column has a higher rating. So by using these weights, we're then able to categorize our projects as proceed with a particular project, review, or to deprioritize the project depending on which one of the scenarios we're looking to follow. Okay. Right. Lastly, I'm going to touch on our semantic model. So within the data processing that we've done, we've taken the results of our 3 advanced analytics models, as well as all of the data within our gold star schema, and we've put them into a semantic model that consists of 12 tables. So what a semantic model is it was previously referred to as a data set, and it contains exactly that, a set of data represented by tables and fields or columns. Each of those tables have relationships with one another. In this case, amongst the 12 tables, we've got 8 relationships amongst them. And then based on the information that we have within the tables, we have what are called DAX measures. So measures are a pre-configured calculation which can then be used widely across the business. So we want to have a semantic model defined. We want to have a measures defined within a semantic model so that consumers of this model are able to quickly find information. Our plan to assist Sarah nice and quickly is to pass the semantic model as a knowledge source to a data agent. And what a data agent will do when looking at a semantic model is have a look through measure folders which contain our pre-configured calculations. Let's say, for example, the agent is asked a question around risk. It's quite quick for the agent to go into the risk folder and identify which risk measure needs to be used instead of it going across the entire 53 measures. So semantic models are quite powerful and they form the data source for both Power BI reports and dashboarding, as well as agentic use cases. Right. I'm just going to flip back into Microsoft Fabric again. This one here. Yep. I'm just going to go a little deeper into each one of these so we can see the makeup. I think I'm going to go into our machine learning side. Apologize, the UI on my screen keeps jumping about. Okay, I'm going to open up the Monte Carlo simulation, which is a Python notebook. And again, I'm not necessarily going to go through all of the code, but rather the result set, just to show what the processing looks like. Okay, from this result set, we can see that we have each of our projects named. And based on the Monte Carlo simulation, each project has been scored a p-value of 10, 50, or 90. And we also have a p-value for IRR, which translates into return, but we'll speak about that a little bit later. So we can see, based on the Monte Carlo results, for each one of our projects, we have a least favorable outcome, a most likely outcome, and the best possible outcome. Just going to hit back one. We've then got project prioritization. I scroll down again to the result set. So for this particular, scroll up a little bit. For this particular input, we can see in the code, we've asked the weighting to look at a balanced portfolio. What the algorithm has done in the advanced analytics model has taken each project and has given it a particular score based on the balanced portfolio. And we can see that the projects are ranked starting at 1. So this particular project, Phoenix Lithium, is the #1 ranked project when looking at a balanced portfolio. Yeah, and then the final one which is our what if scenario. Okay, so the final output on the what if scenario, we've got a particular project that we're currently looking at. Actually, this looks to be across the entire portfolio. So across the entire portfolio, if the price of the commodity increases by 30% and our capex is on budget, what are the NPV values? So we've got our P10, P50, and our P90 scores. Okay. Last thing I'd like to show is the semantic model. Put this model up. I apologize for the size of the screen. I'm going to zoom out a bit. So for those who've not seen a semantic model before, this is the gist of what it looks like. We have a makeup of tables. These little lines between the tables are the relationships. And then as we go through each of the tables, you can see that there are folders, and these folders contain the measures that we spoke about. So if I click on a particular measure in viewing mode, not allowing me off the bat to go and show what those measures look like. But essentially, you would open up the folder and have the ability to look at each of the measures. Alrighty. I'm going to switch back into our presentation. Okay, the next two things that we're going to be looking at are the final outputs. So we've had a look now at the data to decision journey, what it looks like within Microsoft Fabric. We've opened up a few of the notebooks that process the advanced analytics. And we've looked at the semantic model that houses all of the data outputs. Next, we're going to look at the presentation layer for Sarah. So this is going to be through Power BI, surfaced on the front end. We've got 3 dashboards that we've prepared, one for each output of the advanced analytics. And then the next piece, which is probably the more exciting, is our data agent. So we've configured a data agent that we've embedded into a front end. And essentially what a data agent does is it contains a knowledge source, and when provided some instructions, can facilitate question and answer. And this needs to be done in that particular order. As you mentioned in the beginning, AI is only as good as the data you feed it. So we've got a nice solid semantic model with the outputs of our advanced analytics, so we know that we're going to get good results. Just before we do hop into the front end, I'd just like to show the configuration of that data agent. Go back, open up our mining portfolio agent. So setting up a data agent can be extremely simplistic or also quite complex. But essentially what we have on the far left is our data source. So this is the semantic model with all of the tables that we fed it. In the middle, we have our agent instructions. So telling the agent what it is, what it does, how to answer questions, and what sort of tone to take with the end user. And then we've also got a little bit of a test pane that we can use to ask questions whilst we're tweaking the knowledge sources and the agent instructions. right? Within a data agent, you have the ability uh, to connect to more than one data source. So at the moment, we're just connected to a single semantic model. You can also connect it to other artifacts. So not necessarily only a semantic model. You can connect this to a database, to a lakehouse in Microsoft Fabric, and you can use things like SQL to query your data and assist your agent to provide answers quickly. All right. Going back in here. So that is our Fabric data agent. The Fabric data agent serves then as the base agent to an agent that we've developed and surfaced in Azure AI Foundry. So Azure AI Foundry is the Microsoft Pro Code environment for AI. What we've done with the agent that we've built is from the Fabric data agent perspective, we fed it the semantic model, so it's got knowledge of the gold star schema as well as the result sets of our 3 advanced analytics models. We've then taken that agent and we've enhanced it using Azure AI Foundry by providing it some market intelligence. So we've grounded its understanding with Bing search. So this means that in the front end, we are able to ask the agent some real-time questions, and it's going to use Microsoft's Bing search to go and get some real-time information from the internet. We've also included a code interpreter. So this is to create charts using a Python library. So I'll do a demonstration of that as well. All right. Let's go back into Fabric. Okay, so this is the Vue.js front end, and behind this front end we have a few features. The first one is our AI agent. So this is the agent that we've published that's grounded with the Bing search, has the ability to perform chart generation, and contains the Fabric data agent as well. So we're going to put this to the test. We're going to ask a serious top question, which is if copper drops 15% and capex overruns 20%, how much net present value is at risk? So what the agent will now do is it's going to take this question. It's a natural language question. It's going to pass it via Azure AI Foundry back into Microsoft Fabric. And the Fabric data agent is then going to interrogate the semantic model data set. Right, so we've got a natural language response. If copper drops 15% and capex overruns, the portfolio has a net present value risk at the P50 level of quite a large amount. And it's giving some additional insight. This figure shows the magnitude of incremental downside risk on the portfolio. So very quickly, Sarah can now have her question answered. I'm going to ask another question just to show that we are getting some Bing trends. So please generate a graph showing the price trend of copper in the last 6 months. Okay, so what's happening in the background now? Quite different to the first question is now the AI agent is going to Microsoft Bing and is going to fetch information over the last couple of months. It's not quite done it the way that I would have liked. I think what I'll do is maybe ask on another commodity. Show me graph, the gold price trends, 6 months. Crossing my fingers and toes that the demo gods are on my side. And there we go. More something that I was looking for, so didn't quite get it out for copper. I'm sure if I asked it again, it would. Now that it understands the question more. So I've got a neat high-level code-generated graph showing me the price trend for gold over the last 6 months. Right. Also within this front-end platform, we have dashboards that are embedded. So Sarah can come in here, have a natural language chat with an agent, or she can open up one of 3 dashboards that show her some results based on our advanced analytics. So the first one showing the results of the Monte Carlo, we can see per project what the NPV values are. That's in the first block. We have a detailed description of what's in the graph represented in the bottom. On the top right, we have a risk versus value graph. So the further to the left, the riskier the project is, but the higher up it is, the higher value. So high risk, high reward. And then at the bottom, we've got NPV values p-values, showing the returns also based off the Monte Carlo results. If we click into our what if scenario, so here Sarah can go in and select the mineral that she's looking at, or the commodity. So let's select copper as an example. And then we've got various scenarios that you can click through. So if the base price remains the same, but capex increases by 10%, the visuals will update with the relevant information. As we click through, if the base price remains the same, but capex increases by 20%, the net present value is adjusted ever so slightly. And so we can go through each of the scenarios, and Sarah can get a good understanding of how the NPV is affected based on different scenarios. And lastly, we have our project ranking. So for the project ranking, we're going to select a scenario that we're interested in. Let's say we're looking at a risk-adjusted portfolio. We select that from the slicer. We can now see represented on the table which projects to proceed with. So we've got the top 5 projects, which projects need to be reviewed. And if we're going for a risk-adjusted portfolio, which projects need to be deprioritized. The bottom visualization then shows us the various scorings based on, the different weight based on the different categories. So the financial scores, the risk scores, and strategic scores are represented by the graphs in the different weightings. Okay, from here, we have enhanced this for Sarah to be able to ask questions about the information she sees on the graph. So we're able to interact with the agent whilst looking at graphs. And we can do that vice versa as well. From the agent side, we can select the dashboard that we're interested in, let's say our project rankings one, and we've got the dashboard embedded for Sarah to have a look at. So we've really tried to make this as easy for her to answer her question as possible. The final piece is just giving Sarah the ability to really be able to touch the data. So we've got a data management tab in this front-end portal. And what this allows Sarah to do is quite literally to play around with the scorings and the weightings. So looking at the returns led, Sarah can now click on edit and go in and edit the weighting for financial, strategic, and risk. Once she has edited the weightings, She can then go into a pipeline section and run any one of the advanced analytics scenarios again. That will then recalculate based on the new weightings that Sarah has provided. And she can then run the full analytics, which will then process the data end to end, get all of the advanced analytics models run again, recalculate the semantic model, and then refresh the Power BI dashboards. So those would be reflected here. And then, of course, you can go back and chat to the agent based on her, based on her new information. Right. So during this process, I know it's a bit of a catchphrase, the ROI in today's day and age, but we can see some true return on investments here. Sarah would have been able to reduce her cost. She would have been able to improve her decision making. And then some things that we can actually see value in is that her analysts now have 2 to 3 days of time saved. And Sarah can get her answer within 30 seconds via dashboard, via a data agent. Sarah has the ability to look at different scenarios based on the way her portfolio is going. We've run each of her scenarios through 10,000 trials. And then we've created quite a traceable process so that data to decision journey can be traced all the way back from agent dashboard right the way back to the source system. So it's a nice lineage there for data governance. Right. All in all, to help Sarah answer the question, if copper drops 15%, we're able to provide her an answer within 30 seconds. This is backed by evidence, which are the 10,000 simulations for our Monte Carlo, our 5 strategic lenses based on her situations or scenarios, and 20 stress tests based on the 20 projects that she has within her portfolio. And then, as I mentioned on the previous slide, this is all extremely auditable because we can trace everything back all the way to source. Yeah, and that pretty much is what turning data into decisions looks like. All right. So I believe we're going to take a quick poll. It should pop up on your screen. So it's just a question asking, would you like a walkthrough of this data to decision strategy for your organization? 3 options are available. Yes, please. Get in touch immediately. I'll keep it in mind, or we're not quite ready yet. Those are the options that you'll have available to you. Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Truly do appreciate it. I know it's a difficult thing to come by in this day and age, people's time.
There were a few comments
in
the chat. If you want to maybe take a look from Veronique.
Sure,
I think she's in the SMB space.
See if I can access the chat. Veronique. Most AI, what that tech stack would cost just to manage expectations for smaller businesses, Microsoft Fabric, Bricks Lakehouse, Spark Notebooks, Delta Lake Processing Information. Sorry, just taking a second to read. AI answer, we should have asked AI to summarize it. Multi-criteria scoring. Yeah, cool. Thanks, Veronique, for your for your comments there, and very impressed that you were able to get some high-level costings out of AI. The numbers are, in the ballpark. Some of them might need to be verified. Essentially, with this particular platform, most of the work is done within Microsoft Fabric. So the ingestion, the Power BI, the machine learning, and crunching the numbers on the advanced analytics platform happen inside Microsoft Fabric. There are ways to share the information via dashboard using the Fabric free license tiers. So there are some options that we have available there. And then because just to show a bit of functionality on the Foundry side, there definitely are additional costs depending on what your use case is, to get some more pro code types of cases going. So to me, yes, there are definitely costs involved, and we would need to size your use case to fully understand what the need is and how we can best get you to a cost-effective solution.
Fantastic. I think that was
More
really,
question than an observation.
yes, yes. Great. Thank you so much, Yuvir. But I really think that the real winner of today's session is Sarah Chen. She
Yeah.
came in as a mining CEO to make decisions in the dark. And by the end, she had the data, the visibility, and the confidence to lead properly, which I think honestly is the dream. Less guessing, less dashboard roulette, more making smarter decisions like you own the place, like a CEO. And I think that is the real takeaway from today. So thank you, Yuvir, for walking us through that so clearly and for showing us what it looks like when data is not just collected, but actually put to work. And thank you all for joining us today. Before we let you go, let's talk about what's coming up in the next month's webinar, because this one's going to be a little bit different. Our next session is called Beyond Productivity, Transforming into a Frontier Firm. And this is not just another webinar where we will all nod along while someone explains that AI can help you write faster emails. This is about the next level. Because AI is no longer just about helping individuals become more productive. It is starting to reshape how work itself happens, how decisions get made, how organizations scale in ways that are smarter, faster, and more interesting. So in next month's session, we'll explore what it means to become a frontier firm. As a Microsoft partner, you must have heard this. So what is a frontier firm? It's a business where humans set the direction. AI agents help execute at scale, and the operating model starts to shift from people doing everything manually to something far more powerful. And because this is going to be an interactive session, we're going to approach it a bit differently. So do not come expecting to sit quietly in the background with your camera off and your soul elsewhere. Come ready to join in and maybe even test how future ready your organization really is. We're going to unpack key shifts needed to move beyond productivity hacks and into real transformation. And we're going to do it in a way that is practical and engaging. So if you've been asking your business whether your business is really transforming with AI or just getting better at generating meeting notes, this one is definitely one for you to join. We're going to put the registration link in the chat there. Pranay's got it in the chat now. So please grab it and register before you go. Thank you all so much for joining us and for your time and for your attention and comments. Goodbye, everyone, and until we see you next month. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.